Hey, so in the last video, I was talking about how it is totally fine to be in a place where you feel like you've reacted, and how do you actually step back from that and start to have little more compassion for yourself and see that it was totally fine, it was valid what happened, because any kind of reaction was actually nothing but a body memory. It was a way of thinking, it was a pattern in your mind that your mind always goes to in that kind of a situation or a trigger that happens. So there are four types of responses of the nervous system. There is fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I'm going to be talking about a couple of them in this video, probably. I'm going to try and cover the rest of them in the other videos, but let's talk about the fight and the flight response. And how do we start to identify that we're actually having a fight response or a flight response? And believe me when I tell you this, that these things are so subconscious that it really takes an active intention to learn about yourself and an active intention to change your life, to understand that you're slipping into these modes when confronted with a challenging situation. And that situation can honestly be anything. It could be something really small or really big. But the truth is that everything is very relative. If you are a trauma survivor, something as small as a smell can trigger your trauma response. And that just gets worse and worse, when involved and interwoven with relationship, with work, and all of that. So I'm here to tell you that it's perfectly fine that that happens because it has reason for it to happen. How do we begin? We begin by understanding that it's not our fault. First of all, it really is not our fault. It's not your fault. Believe me when I say this. The way that your body reacts, the thoughts that get triggered in your mind, they have a very, very important reason that they're there. They're protecting you. You're going into survival mode. You were in survival mode probably for years. So it's perfectly fine. It's okay. And even if you were not in survival mode for years, your body is still capable of feeling like it needs to be in that mode and shift into that mode. So we're just going to understand what those modes are. How do we actually um, pull ourselves from those modes? So, first of all, the flight mode. Now, if we're talking about somebody who's in the flight mode, in relationships, it would look something like this. It would look like someone who avoids confrontation. It would look like somebody who um, wants to move away from difficult conversations, stay on surface level of things. At work, probably it would look like somebody who, uh, just gets away, like does not really do what's required, does not really come to the point of getting what's required done at the core level. It's someone who will be avoiding things. It's somebody who's going to be trying to go around things, you know. Uh, and that's not always in a flight mode. That could also be because the person is uh, aware that something is happening right now and I cannot deal with this. I just cannot deal with this. I need to move away. So, personally, to you, it would feel like I need to remove myself from this situation right now. And sometimes that is honestly the best thing to do for yourself at that point. Because if you have that response, that means the trigger is probably too big or the situation is very dangerous for you to be in. So follow that. But, however, if this response comes to you when you are in very regular, normal situations, and you're still feeling like, oh my God, I cannot confront this issue, this genuine need that I have, I can't talk about it, I can't tell that person about it. That means that somewhere, maybe, probably your body is in flight mode. So give yourself some credit to first of all become aware of it. Now you know. And what do you do about it? What you do about it is that you recognize that this is my body indicating something to me, indicating that it's probably not safe for me to tell what I need at this point, what I want at this point, and that is why it wants me to avoid it. Or it is completely hyper vigilant, trying to see every, knowing and understanding every way that it can be safe. Um, for me personally, I feel like I had a very big problem with not knowing what's going to happen in the future with relationships, with work, with everything. It was a very big problem for me because I wanted to know. Because if I knew, then I'd be safe. I'd know what's going to happen and I would be able to remove myself from that situation of requirement. Instead of trusting and knowing that sometimes things are not as bad as I'm thinking. So, the way that I actually started to train myself to understand that this is a flight system is I started to basically, first of all, notice what are the things that trigger me into that kind of response. What are the things that I'm not comfortable talking about when they really need to be spoken? What is it? What am I doing that I'm not really, facing my own self? And it was really small at some points. Like, had I lent some money to somebody, I could not really ask them for it, even when I had dire need of it, because I was avoiding that. And there's always a reason. There's always a reason, especially in relationships, friendship, romantic relationships, work relationships, relationship with your siblings, your parents. You always feel like, hey, am I going to be the smaller person if I ask for this need of mine to be met? Hey, am I going to be losing this person completely if I ask for what I need right now? Is that what's going to happen? Is that the belief that's completely dominant in my mind? Am I going to upset this person? And they're going to go into a big rage, or they're going to not want to talk to me. They're going to be stonewalling me. They're going to be doing all those sorts of things to me. If that is my experience, if that has been my dominant experience, and that's what I'm going to expect, and that is why I will avoid certain conversations. I would avoid certain things. I would think of it and justify it as, hey, I'm just being the bigger person right now if I'm not taking my own money back. And I know that I can figure it out. I can sort it out somehow. But you really, really need to get through with yourself. You really, really need to know that this is something that is affecting you, and you need to be okay with asking for what's yours. So notice in your body what happens when you're confronted with such things. Does your heart rate go up? Do you feel like you're getting breathless? Do you suddenly start to feel a little bit of tension in your body? Maybe your shoulders, your neck, your back, probably a heaviness starts to set in. And in the worst case, what can happen is you're going to start to feel like a doom cloud has come into your reality and has completely surrounded you. Many times you can also feel very confused at this point because all of your energy and all of your everything is going into survival. And it's hard to understand and pace yourself with reality at that point. So this happens. So what you can do when this is happening is, first of all, start to breathe. Really start to breathe. And it's not really going to change within a day. It's not. It's not. It's a practice. Notice when these things happen and start to breathe. Initially, it would be good to actually remove yourself from situations like this when you're completely face to face with them. It would be good to delay the conversation that you want to have. It would be good to step into a more rational mind, which might take a little more time. It would be good to feel the alignment in your body and mind. So give yourself that space and time to come into that. That can happen naturally because what happens is our nervous system after a while does come down from the fight flight response to normal rational thinking. And that's when everything comes to you. Hey, you know what, maybe it wasn't actually that bad. And your mind just opens up to new thought. So just breathe. There's a grounding exercise that you can do, which is very, very nice, easy for me to do when I'm in these situations, which is just noticing my cheekbones and tapping them. And why do you need to ground? You need to ground because you need to, first of all, let your body understand that it is connected to something. It is connected to the earth. All of the excess potential that comes in can be going down through your feet into the earth, back into it. So you need to learn how to center yourself. And there are several exercises online how to do that. One of them is definitely the belly breathing and the tapping of your cheekbones here. So breathe, ground yourself. Take yourself out of the situation for a while if you need to, and give yourself some time to actually reminding yourself that this is not the end. It's just a circumstance that I need to face. This is just something that I need to do. How I'm going to do it, it's going to take some time for me to understand, but it will come to me. As I calm down, I can take that step again. And it's okay if you can't do it immediately. It is okay if you take a longer time than you expected to do it. It is okay. But what's really important is to be connected with your own self. Grounding really helps, and connecting to a friend would really help, to a trusted friend or a family member. Talking about it to a therapist or a coach really helps, because if you are not able to regulate or down regulate your nervous system on your own right now, it's all right to take support and help. And it's all right to talk about it. So talk to somebody. Bring it out. Bring out your fears in front of them. Tell them that, you know what, this is what I'm afraid of. Allow them to see you and give you suggestions and their opinions and help them problem solve with you. Because sometimes we're all alone and we just do not know how to do that. And it's very important for us to have the connection to down regulate ourselves. So it's okay. Do that. Now, this can happen even with the fight mode. How would the fight mode look like? Fight mode in people at work is all about a power struggle, a play, as in, like, hey, you know what? I'm right and you're wrong. And I know what I'm doing right now. And you've got to do what I say. Could be something like that. Or it could be in a relationship, in a friendship. It could look like defensiveness. It could look like, if I'm in a fight mode, I would want to argue with that person. I wouldn't want to listen. I wouldn't want to see what they're trying to tell me. I would just want to defend myself. Probably because they are not listening. Probably because they are not making sense. But am I really giving them a chance to tell what they need to tell me? Or I'm just getting defensive. I'm just assuming that they do not have the capability to understand me. I need to fight them. I need to raise my voice. In the worst case scenario, raise my hand on someone, which is the worst kind of fight mode that's there. Or I need to just defend myself completely, block that person out. I need to make new thought patterns where I don't trust them at all. And I believe in my system that I can never talk to them about this because they're never going to understand, you know. There's a whole different perspective that we shift into. I'm not saying that these responses are going to drastically change, but the way that you feel about them is what is an indication that your nervous system is excited or regulated. Of course, there are people who do not understand, who do not listen. Of course, you would need to avoid certain people at the end of it. But that wouldn't come from a place of full of emotions and, feeling like doom. It would come from a place of centeredness. It would come from a place where, you know what, perhaps this person is not going to understand. And it's okay because that is their perspective. And I cannot change it. Who am I to change somebody's experience when they have not experienced something that I have? It's a more sage perspective that comes in. You feel more calm. You do not feel like you need to fight the person. Even if they feel like they need to argue with you, you do not feel like that. You feel like you can listen. You feel like you can see them. You can hear them. And you also feel like you can talk for yourself at that point. That is when you know that you have shifted. And I know that you can relate to this because all of us come to this point with something or the other in our lives, some relationships or the other. Imagine that you do not have any kind of relationship that way, but you must have experienced this with yourself. That, oh, I think I overreacted at that time. Probably the way to act would be a certain way. So you're doing this with yourself. You're connecting with yourself. You're genuinely there with yourself. You're present. And that's what you need to move from the fight or the flight response to. And I'm not saying that this place will have more courage and confidence. I'm saying that this place feels different. That's all that you need to remember. You can add courage to it. You can add confidence to it. It will help you bring into your mind that you are connected with everything, everyone, You have support. You have the support that you need. You're not alone. So you can handle this challenge. You can get through this. You can talk about what you need. You can bring that out. That's what it would feel like. And it's going to take time, but it will happen. I'm telling you it will. If you are determined to understand yourself, to have a better life, you will be able to do this. Find out a grounding exercise that works for you and practice it every day. Practice a posture which you can feel calm in and repeat that so that when you go into that posture every day, you know that this is a signal for me to be centered and grounded. So you feel that connection and groundedness to yourself and everything else. So, this was just a short video wherein it was a general description on how to shift from what was the fight and flight mode and how to shift from it. If you need more help, reach out to me in the comment section below or my email ID, which I'm going to put down in the description box, for more help or understanding your unique situation and helping you shift from that. I would be more than happy to help you out. And